Welcome to the Emerging Lawyer series at the Coffee Corner Show, powered by the Emerging India Forum TIF and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme is Protecting Brands, Empowering Justice, the IP Crusade. We are with us Arindom Hazarika, Senior Counsel, Brand Protection, South Asia at SanDisk, uh, Middle East and Africa. So, Arindam is a trailblazer in the world of intellectual property and a brand protection. With a career spanning over a decade, Arindam has carved a niche in the legal landscape as a certified anti-counterfeit practitioner and IP attorney. Currently steering brand protection initiatives at SanDisk Western Digital, he's led high impact strategies across regions like South Asia, Middle East, and Africa. From deep dive investigations to law enforcement training and online IP enforcement, Arindam's work isn't just about legal precision, it's about safeguarding innovation, brand integrity, and public trust. His rich experience across sectors ranging from FMCG to alcobev and pharmaceuticals reflect his dynamic ability to navigate complex legal terrains with skill and foresight. Join us as we uncover the grit, intellect, and philosophy that drive one of the leading names in anti-counterfeit law today. So, welcome, Arindam, today's coffee conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amir, for the kind introduction there.
It was too long.
No, no,
It had to be because the profile and everything, it's jokes apart. The team does good work, the research and everything, introduction, everything. And this is what is first smile comes on the speaker. Okay, that impact introduction. And then the
no,
conversation starts. So thanks to the team. So let me explain you, Arindam. There will be three rounds: professional, personal, and a surprise. A rapid fire, the fun round where you will be in the hot seat. And here's your inspiration: Legal AI 101, which will be autographed, but you have to be witty, fun, and quick.
I'll try
So,
my best.
friends, I'm Lion Amir Virani, host at Coffee Conversation, and legal tech evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution and author of 15 books. We help law firms, corporate legal, startup SMEs, world-class technology, tech training, and software licensing. So my first question, Arindam. We have spent over a decade specializing in brand protection and anti-counterfeiting. What first drew you to this unique niche area, and how has the journey been till date?
I think I would say I think we had a candid conversation earlier as well about this. I have always been fascinated by brands. That's something which have always stayed with me. And one of the reasons is why when you look at not only the brand, but also the journey behind the brand. I mean, I was fortunate to be part of representing some iconic brands in Diageo when I was with Diageo. And I was one of the brands which I was protecting at Diageo was Johnny Walker, which is a very popular name. And the most fascinating journey was understanding about what is Johnny Walker, what is the journey behind it. And it has come from centuries ago. That's the beauty of it. And that's how the brand has been built throughout the course of time and what has been done in that. So I think that is something which always intrigued my curiosity for how the brands are created and how the brands are. And that ultimately led to I would say, my passion, which is also mixed with how to protect these brands. That's something which has always been there. So once I knew about how the brand journey has been, it even fascinated me more, and it made me more passionate to see what are the ways in which we can protect it. So that's how I saw my journey starting in the brand protection arena. And that is, I think now I would say around 9 years back. It's a long, long time back. And being very thankful for the people who taught me throughout the journey about it. So many things. And one of the key things which I learned again, which I talked about again, is the journey about the brand. I think that's very important. You should know about it. You should know exactly what has happened there. And then once you know that, you get an attachment to it. So I feel once you invested, even emotionally to that, or with all your passion as well into it, then you end up doing much, much, much different and a much better kind of quality of work. So I think that is something which has stayed with me throughout. And I'm really grateful for the people whom I work with, who taught me every day about it. And as we say, a legal profession also is something which is emerging, always evolving. So the biggest thing for me is always keep learning and keep practicing and look forward to new things, new ways to learn stuff. So I think that's something which has always been there with me. Bit long there, but yeah, that's how I'll sum it up.
Wow. So let's dive deep in conversation. I will now first take your journey as a anti-counterfeit practitioner. Uh, how different is the legal approach to counterfeit enforcement across regions like South Asia, Middle East, Africa, and India?
I think it's certainly different because why one of the foremost thing is different laws are applicable everywhere, right? So laws are not uniform. In a certain jurisdiction, you'll have to apply different kind of a law. In a different jurisdiction, again, you have to go and apply different kind of a law. And according to that law, you have to find out the norms and the protections which you can grant to that particular brand or that particular IP, which is there in that particular region to be protected. So I think it is a very, I would say, challenging exercise. So I think the biggest issue comes with, first of all, you have to know which are the priority markets you want to go there. So maybe that is in South Asia, that is in Africa, that's in Middle East, wherever it is. I mean, I just taking up as a blank canvas. And once you do that, the first thing I think which has always worked for me is understanding the legal formalities there. What are the things we need to know about it as a first step? And once you know the legal formalities about it, I think one of the other things which also helps, apart from the legal side of things, is also knowing the supply chain behind those products. How are those products coming to the market? I mean, what is happening with these products? So once a product is created, suppose in a factory, what's the next step? What happens then? It is packed, it is packaged, everything happens. You put up all the required stuff there, and then it ships out to the market. It doesn't go directly to the market from the factory. It goes through layers, it goes through borders, and it crosses different borders. So once you know that journey about the supply chain, you would be in a very good position to apply those laws which you have learned across different countries to them and appropriately provide adequate protection to such particular brands. So that's how I see that.
Wow. So as you said in the earlier conversation, you have to be passionate about brands, which has been the most memorable case in your career. What were the key learnings and how did you navigate it?
I think a memorable case, I would say there are many. I would not like to say that specifically one. But I
Mhm.
can say, I have been very fortunate to represent some of the most interesting and most iconic brands have ever. So I was in a consultancy just before I joined Diageo, and I had a good fortune to represent a lot of different kind of brands. So the most fascinating part for me then was one day I was representing something for I would say, for a brand which is into lubricants, which is again a completely different cup of tea. And next day, suddenly, ending up dealing something with textiles or maybe garments. That's something which happened. And out of which the most interesting one was for the alcobev industry, because we did some very interesting exercises there during my tenure there. And the best part was sometimes it also used to involve us getting on ground, getting the information about who is doing what and what are the things which are not as per the legal formalities. So a lot of times we had to also go on ground and test stuff. And the most fun part was when we used to go on ground and sometimes we used to get chance to test alcohol as well. So I would say that that was something which was a very, very interesting case, not case rather, but rather a very interesting situation which I was in. But yeah, I mean, apart from that, I would say that there have been some big enforcement actions which I have done across organizations. I would not like to specify any.
Yeah, no, we don't want.
But yeah, I mean, to say that, yes, I mean, that those kind of actions have created a huge impact in terms of how the revenue of those products get impacted. And the biggest satisfaction which we got is we could open up the original products in the market to the end consumers, who are the ones who are severely affected by when they get these counterfeit products. So I think so that is something which is very satisfactory for me. And one thing which also gives me a lot of pride is that we don't know much about this, but then I think it's important that people know that a lot of times these counterfeits are not only counterfeits or bad quality products. There's a lot of nexus behind these products. So the nexus might be related to your money laundering. The nexus might be related to acts of terror. The nexus might be related to any other kind of illegal illicit activities, which might be at a very, very large scale than we are talking about. So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's an immense pride which comes with it. And I feel each of my cases which I have done, in a way, maybe not so much, but maybe in a way, a bit contributed to that cause. So that makes me feel really, really satisfying.
Wonderful. So for brand protection, you have to work with enforcement agencies. So how do you prepare, कि भाई you get support from during the enforcement part? Because you have done your legal part and other necessary groundwork. So for that enforcement, you have to work with the enforcement agencies. So, so what are the key elements, according to you, to prepare them to be with you and the team?
No, I think that's a great question because I think so much you can do so much with respect to the legal formalities and preparing yourself well at your home, right? You do your homework well, you do your papers, everything in place. But again, it's a different ball game to deal with the authorities. And I think one of the things which really helps is having a regular dialogue with them. So I think that is because eventually, end of the day, they're human beings, right? We need to build those relationships, and these relationships can be built through regular course of trainings, which we do with them, regular interactions through those trainings, where we understand, they also understand about our challenges. Not everything is, it's very black and white. Sometimes things can be a bit gray, where they might not be able to help 100%. We might not be able to give the information 100%, but then we have to collaborate together and then work together towards that particular goal. So I believe that regular communications, having those regular kind of trainings, and also, sometimes I've also seen that participation from the brand itself when particular action is happening, suppose a raid is happening, that also creates a huge kind of impact. They also know that these people care about it. They have come themselves to see things, how they're happening. And also, one of the most important things which I have seen, which really builds confidence for them, is provide prompt support from our end. As a brand owner, whenever the authorities sometimes will take some products or seize some products, typically in enforcement action, what happens is you seize the counterfeit products. And a lot of times they will ask the information to say that whether this product is genuine or not. I mean, maybe we have picked it up, but then for 100% surety, you are the one who can tell us. So in those situations, I believe the most important thing is to support them, provide them adequate information, documentation, everything, which also builds their confidence going forward. Not only for that case, but in the future also they know that okay, this person or this brand is very, very supportive throughout the process. So I think it's a pleasure working with them. So maybe let's work together collaboratively and achieve the result. So I think that has helped a lot, and I feel that that's a decent strategy to go by it. I'm sure there might be 1,000 others, but I think this has definitely worked for me. So yeah, so that's how I'd like to put it up.
Beautiful. So, what role do online platforms and marketplaces play in today's counterfeit landscape? How cooperative are they in enforcement?
That's an interesting one. And this online is something which is very, 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 I would say emerging, very new. Because honestly speaking, just to give some stats, not exactly stats, but some perspective, before COVID, we didn't see much of a numbers there, the online platforms and all, it was all fine. But post-COVID, during COVID rather, we saw a lot of dependence on internet across every kind of people, everything which we were ordering, maybe we're going to a shop and buying stuff. Now we have gone to a stage where we started ordering stuff online from the marketplaces, from the e-commerce platforms. And now we have even reached a different level with the likes of Blinkit and Swiggy, Instamart coming in, where it's all quick commerce. You just click on a button, 10 minutes to get the stuff. So that evolution which has happened with respect to how products have been available, the same evolution has also happened for counterfeits in those platforms. So what has happened is earlier we used to, for specifically for counterfeits, if I have to talk about, we used to do a lot of enforcement and actions and all by going on ground, visiting those stores, actually picking up products and then buying those products, analyzing them, then planning the action. With online, it's become like every day you will see like something new coming up, some new seller coming up. It's very, very easy for them, right? I mean, like, because on a click of a button of submitting very few documents, you can set up a store, nice store for yourself, set up products there, and then start selling them. So it became even bigger a challenge for us. But then, yeah, I mean, thanks to technology again, we have been able to leverage it through technology to do the takedowns of those listings which have come up. And also thanks to the platforms as well. A lot of times I have experienced this. I don't want to name any particular platform, but across my ambit, I have seen a lot of jurisdictions where the platforms have been very proactive. Once we have gone to them, they have come back to us and said that, okay, we need this information so that we can do a proactive job for you. So I think that is something which has really helped. Some of the platforms have really shown that very good evolution in terms of how they can help us. And that is something which has really helped build a good ecosystem around tackling these kind of counterfeit issues online. Again, I would say at this point of time, there's a long way to go because the biggest problem is not every platform is the same. One platform might be at a five-star level, another platform might not be at that level in terms of IP enforcement. But then again, I believe that long way to go. We're still evolving every day. So I do hope that changes come there. But yeah, I mean, for now, I think some of the platforms have been extremely helpful. But again, we are kind of in the middle of the journey. There's a long way to go on that. That's how I see it.
Wow. As you've said in the conversation, you have trained law enforcement agencies. What gaps do you see in IP law awareness, and how can they be addressed for these enforcement people?
I think one of the big things which I always feel is a big problem, or not problem, rather, rather a challenge for us, is some of the penalties which we have with respect to the IP crimes. That's something which I feel sometimes is not sufficient. Sometimes it seems like it's kind of very minuscule. And so that proves to be a problem because what happens is, usually, why do we create laws? My basic concept comes back to the age of, the ancient times when we used to create laws. Why? So that you can compel the people to be behaving in a particular manner, or as we call it, the law-abiding citizens. Now, when the law is strong enough, you'll be absolutely abided by the law. You know the repercussions of what you're doing. And after that, if you don't do that, there'll be repercussions around it from a legal standpoint. Now, when the laws are strong, but then the penalties are not strong enough, sometimes what happens is the person might be thinking, fine, I didn't done that, but it's okay. I'll pay this much fine or maybe this much. And then I think I'll be good with that. So there'll be no problem. I can do it again. That whole encouragement would be there. But here, I think we need to take some good examples of from other countries, or maybe in our own country, the Motor Vehicle Act sometime back. We know what kind of penalties they had for the basic violations. Maybe a seat belt you're not wearing, maybe you're not putting up a helmet, or you are just crossing the red light. There used to be very small fine on that. But now I think with the new amendments, I think the fines have been really, really multiplied to a large extent. And that has created a bit of different deterrence in terms of how you want to do things. So the same, I think, can be applied to IP laws as well. And I think that will go a long way in, teaching people that this is not the right thing to do. You should not be doing it. And if you do that, there are big penalties for that. So I think that is something which I would say needs a good amount of reform, which will be very, very helpful, will be massive for us. And I think to give example of some of the countries in the Middle East, like Dubai and all, they have very stringent laws. So even for a very basic stuff, like, especially with respect to your motor vehicles, governing that, the laws, they're very, very strict. I still remember one instance, I was in Dubai, and there was some guy who had some issue with his license or something. It was a very small issue. For us, it looked like that. Apparently, it was a big issue in Dubai. And the kind of fine which they were imposing on him, he said, my whole lifetime savings would be gone if that happens. And so I think that kind of I'm not saying we go that way. But again, there has to be some middle ground where you put up some stronger penalties. I think that will go a long way in helping this problem to a large extent.
Wow. So, my next question will be for our viewers out there. How does one become a certified anti-counterfeit practitioner? Are they which institutes to go for, and what are the career opportunities?
I think that's a very good question. I think, and this course is something which came out of the blue for me. There was a course which was introduced sometime back by Inquest, and there was in collaboration with there was an organization in Malaysia. They had done this course, one of a kind in India. And I was fortunate enough to be part of the course and then complete it. And I think one of the key things for a person who wants to go in this domain would be, I would say, have that interest, to know more about the brand part of things. Because when you teach, the problem is at this point of time in our law schools also, I mean, when you teach law, especially IP law, you just teach about trademarks, patents, copyrights at a very, very broad level, generic level. Okay. And what do you teach? What do you learn in trademarks? You learn about this trademark is similar to this trademark, that trademark is a bit different, specifically, trademark IP infringements, as we call it. That's also part of it. But again, no one teaches about what happens when the counterfeit is sold. Counterfeit is something which is a very interesting one, which I honestly and strongly feel should come into the curriculum as well, because that gives some students an idea about what to expect. And this is also an area of law which can be explored. IP enforcement specifically, that is something which is definitely there. So I feel there's a lack on that part, and that's the reason why you don't get sufficient information when you are a student to learn about it. And hence, I would urge students when they're interning, if there's an opportunity in a particular legal team for someone working in brand protection or maybe IP enforcement, they should try and join them, and they should try and get some hands-on training there. How do things happen? How do raids happen? How do investigations happen? How do we file IP infringement suits? What happens on that? So I think that gives a very, very good picture. And once they have done that bit, maybe they can then try and apply to do such particular positions. I mean, brand protection has become a very important core now. I see most of the big organizations having a department or a setup within the legal, or maybe in some cases in security teams also, where they do this. And if someone is interested, they can go there and definitely go and apply and maybe be a part of it. But I think it's important to have a bit of experience about it before you dwell into that particular area.
Wow, beautiful. So, Arindam, the counterfeit market is massive and evolving. How do you stay ahead of trends, technologies used by counterfeiters?
That's an interesting one. I would not say, so that's why it's my favorite line. I always say that you cannot completely finish them. You can only
Yes.
dilute them to a large extent. And that extent is
Very
what
true.
depends on how much success you had. So I would say that, yes, I mean, they have been very smart. There's a massive evolution of counterfeiters since I started 10 years back or 9 years back when I started this journey. It was very different. It was very evident. It was very easy. But now we have come to a stage which has become extremely difficult. One small example I would give is, suppose you go to Amazon, you buy a product. That product might not, if the product is not original, suppose the product arrives at your desk, you get it. Once you get the product, you will have an address of the seller on that. You would want to do that. Okay, let me do one thing. This product doesn't look genuine. Let me report this to the brand and send them the invoice also so that they can investigate on their end. Once they do that, once they send it to us, a lot of times what happens, the seller the address was mentioned, it might not be correct. So that anonymity which has come in with this online thing, that is a big, big challenge. But then to a large extent, I think we have been decently successful across organizations wherever I've worked to counter a strategy with it. And the only strategy I would say would help counter it is technology again. So you just cut the technology or maybe kill the technology with technology. That's the only thing. And maybe try to be a bit proactive on things rather than being reactive. I a lot of times see that a lot of time people are very reactive to things. This happened. Okay, now what do we do? So it should not be the approach. It should be like, okay, let me look at all these things. What are the possibilities which will be there? And then go about it. So it will help you contain situation to a large extent and maybe keep things a bit under control. Otherwise, if you are not proactive about it, if you're very reactive, you'll every day see things coming up. And then you'll be like, what has happened? Suddenly there's a landslide of stuff which is coming to me. So I think it's all about being proactive, being a bit aware of the latest technologies which are there, and then go about it. I think those are the things which can help.
Wow. So, Arindam, you have been involved in both civil and criminal litigation around IP infringement. Which of the two presents more complexity from a legal standpoint?
I think I would say civil. But yeah, I mean, I do feel that both are very interesting sort of strategies, or you can have for a very good brand protection program. And I would say that why civil is because it involves the court. You have a lot of documentation to file there and all that. A lot of evidence to be preserved. A lot of things are there. Criminal, why not so much is because you basically file a complaint, go to the police, and then after that, the case is registered, they do an FIR, and once the FIR has happened, that case becomes state versus accused. You're no longer in the picture. So you can just be a witness giver who can give witness to that, and you can provide some information if required with the authority. but the control in a way is gone from that side. So the complexity also gets a bit reduced. Not to say it's not, but then again, comparatively. In a civil case, it's much more complex that way. And also from a, I would say, positive standpoint, it is much more in your control. So if suppose today you filed a suit against someone, you made a big recovery or something, you can simply utilize it to, push them for more stringent things for damages and all that at the court itself. And in case the court says, no, fine, try and mediate this issue, don't go deeper into it, you can simply go for a settlement with that particular party, wherein you can ask for, again, a big settlement fee to cover the litigation costs at least. So yeah, so I think it's a mix of both civil and criminal, which is very, very important, because not one strategy would fit the whole problem. Depending on the problem, you apply that particular solution to it.
Wow. So let's go to your days at Flipkart. You established the brand protection charter. What are the biggest learnings or challenges in setting that system up?
I think the biggest challenge was creating the culture of brand protection.
Mhm.
Because what happens is, as you know, Flipkart is a new entrant in comparison to Amazon, and to create that culture in there, that this is something which you should look at, because this is a potential problem which eventually impacts the reputation of the platform itself. If people are getting counterfeits in the platform, then they will have lack of trust in the platform itself. They will not want to shop from there. They want to shop from something else. So I think one of the biggest challenges was to create that culture first. Second is to get all the stakeholders to one table. That is again a very big challenge, because we are not talking only about legal. We are talking about your legal. We are talking about, in some cases, your HR. In some cases, maybe operations. In some cases, your IT. In some cases, your trust management. So you have to get everyone on the same table and say that, look, this is something which is a problem for all of us, because eventually it's going to end up affecting me. Today, me. Tomorrow, maybe you. Day after, the third person. So we all have to be in this together. So I think these are the two, big challenges which we faced. One is the culture, because when something new happens, there's always like, how do we do this? How do we do that? Even I was new to this, so we had to formulate new strategies, what to build. And then we decided to have everything in a charter, in a particular document, which is documentized. And one of the key things which we also wanted to do is put up a very clear set of expectations from all the stakeholders. So it's not possible that I will do job X, the next person will also be doing job X. It has to be Y or Z. So we had to define the roles of each of the stakeholders and then say that, okay, these are the stakeholders involved. When the problem happens, this is how we solve it. So suppose a problem statement comes in, X does this, Y does this, Z does this. That's how the whole sequence will follow. And then eventually we'll all collaboratively work and solve the problem. So this is one of, I think it was a very good idea which we developed. And the whole idea was to create an alliance group or a working group of multi-stakeholders or cross-stakeholders, which was very, very interesting. It was a fantastic project.
Wow. Okay. So, Arindam, how important is cross-functional collaboration between sales, marketing, manufacturing, and others in brand protection?
I think it's one of the key things. I would say that 90% of everything depends on how you collaborate with them. Because it cannot be a single path where you keep doing things which you want to do. It also has to be, the feedback also has to come from their side, because eventually what you're doing is going to impact the revenue. And that's why you need to take into consideration all the relevant stakeholders. Sales is responsible for the numbers. Marketing is responsible for the promotion bit. So you need to take everyone's account, everyone's opinion, everyone's feedback before you proceed to a particular problem. And I think the biggest thing is a problem statement itself would be much more clearer when you take their feedback. So suppose you are thinking for a counterfeit, I'll give an example. Suppose you're thinking the problem is happening in a state X in India. You will be like, okay, fine, let's do this, let's do that. Now, that's your assumption, right? I mean, the best part is when you get these people involved, they'll say, no, 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 not only state X. The problem might also be happening in state Y, state Z as well. And maybe specifically in this particular market in that. So that feedback is instrumental for you to build that whole strategy. And after that, you can plan out your remedies and all your solutions which you have, and then you apply them. So I think collaboration is super duper critical in this role.
Wow. So, someone active in association like INTA, FICI, Cascade, how do these uh, associations amplify the impact of your work?
I think to a large extent, they're very, very helpful because a lot of times what happens is as an association level, you can raise so many concerns, specifically at a policy level. Because a lot of times, as a brand X or Y, we don't want to go directly to the authority to say, I have a problem, because they might start thinking only you have a problem, others seem to be working fine. So it's always important sometimes to have someone as a face who can work as an association together with collaboration of different brands and then go together and present that problem at a larger scale. So I feel, and also, a lot of times I feel that they can act as a very good partner for raising awareness about counterfeits.
Mhm.
So Inta, I think one example would be they do fantastic bit of work on the Unreal campaign, which they have. And under that campaign, they teach a lot of, students, especially college students, to be empowered about what counterfeits are. Because now what is happening with the Gen Z coming in, apparently, I was reading a study some days back, is that dupes, they call it the dupes, the counterfeits. And apparently there's a very cool term to it. So you can get a dupe of maybe a Nike, maybe any other big brand, and it's pretty cool. So that culture needs to be imbibed. They need to be taught. So I
Mm.
think Inter does a fantastic job through the Unreal campaign, which runs across the country and globally as well, where they teach students about it. So I think that paves a long way. And also in a Wiki Cascade as well, they do a lot of these training programs, a lot of sessions, lot of awareness campaigns also. In fact, sometime back they had done a campaign where Shatrughan Sinha was talking about counterfeits and all that. So when a celebrity talks about it, people tend to listen, right? They want to have their attention there. So yeah, I mean, these kind of associations go a long, long way in building that culture to work against counterfeits. And I think it's great to be part of such associations to be involved.
Wow. So, Arindam, who has influenced you has been a mentor from amongst the brand protection experts?
I would say there's a person called Captain Shakil Ahmed. He was my boss at Diageo. He's I remember 9 years back when I joined, he was heading the brand protection program at Diageo India, and I joined him. And after that, whatever I have done after that, I have learned from him so much about how to deal with things, what are the things, key learnings there, because he carried an ample amount of terrific experience of working in different organizations, and which
Mm.
really translated very well to what we were doing at Diageo at that point of time. And I think I was very fortunate to work under him, to learn from him every day. And also in my, current organizations, I have also worked under a couple of leaders who have been instrumental in teaching me not only about the work, but also, about ways to deal with things. It's sometimes not only about the work, right? It's also about dealing with pressure, dealing with very different kind of situations. So I've been very fortunate that ways to be, led by some fantastic leaders, mentors whom I work with. But yeah, I mean, Captain Shakil on the top of my head, I can definitely talk about him. I think that's all when it started. So yeah, I mean, certainly, yeah.
Wow, beautiful. So, can you walk us through what a typical day looks like being a senior counsel in brand protection at SanDisk?
I mean, I would not say that it's specific to my job currently because I think it's again a very organizational this thing. But
No,
to sum it up,
generic.
yeah, just a general one, I would say that uh, I would say that it's all quite busy. Because it's not only about doing your work, what you're doing. It's also about having. I also believe in a lot of collaboration, doing a lot of collaborative effort with the key stakeholders which we have, like sales, marketing, and other folks. And also there are other people who are very much works in sync with us, like our legal counsels, like the law firms we work with. So I think first of all, I would say to tick off all the big ticket calls which we have. So the day goes by really fast on that. And then I think reviewing the documents which we have, like that kind of documents can be anything. It can be a lawsuit, it can be a listing review, it can be a lot of things which come up on your plate, and then you have to deal with that. And then a lot of sometimes advisory to the clients as well. They want to do something in a particular place, and how do we do that? So all that kind of advisory work is also there. So sometimes, when I start my day at around maybe 9:30 sometimes, and I don't realize that it's lunchtime and I have to have my lunch. And then I remember, no, I don't have time for that also sometimes because I have to do a call. So eventually, then suddenly I realize it's already 5:30 or something. So yeah, I mean, it goes off pretty quick and fast, and you don't get much time, especially on the weekdays. But yeah, I mean, as I said, right, if it's your passion, you would love doing it. You won't even remember when you're having your lunch or your breakfast. So yeah, so that's how it is. Typically, it's quite busy, especially when the quarter starts. It's very, very busy because we have to do a lot of planning around budget, around priorities, around this and that. So yeah, I mean, that's how I would say I'd sum it up. And this is not specifically to one organization. This can be specific to all across organizations I've worked with. And sometimes, the schedule even gets busier when you have to travel for trainings with the law enforcement, or maybe to your own stakeholders. So all those things are there. So yeah, I mean, quite a lot in the plate, I would say.
Okay. And my last question for your professional journey round. How has the leadership style evolved over the years?
Uh, I think one of the key things which I feel, which I have really done a lot of work on, is being tried to be a good listener. That is something which was missing a lot when I was starting my journey. I was like, talking about my opinion, this and that. But I think for the past few years, I would say, I've try to be a good listener. To first listen what the other person is saying, maybe understand the context a bit better, and then having a clarity of thought and not respond immediately, maybe take time to respond, and then that helps you get some clarity also. Once you take a bit of time to think over something, you get a lot of clarity. You also get a lot of options of what all exactly you want to say there. So I think two things stand out for me, and this has really helped, and especially when you had to lead people, when people were working under you. So yeah, I mean, those two things have definitely added up a lot of help in the leadership style, I would say.
Wow. So let's go to next round and understand Arindam as a person. Tell about your family and your formative years.
So as a family, I would say that I basically hail from Assam, uh, and
Hmm.
I have a younger brother. Uh, my father retired as a IPS officer, currently
Hmm.
settled in Guwahati in his nice farmhouse in his own house there. They have this culture. We had this thing. So now you see people buying houses and all. Then we used to be land. So he bought a land and he built his own house there. So it was all with his sweat and hard work which he did that. So my father is a retired IPS officer, and so had a bit of an idea about enforcement authorities there. So that's a bit of a fun part. For my mother, she is a housewife, but for a brief period of time, she was also into entrepreneurial business. She makes, she used to make her own. I would say we had this local thing called mekhela, which is in Assam, is very popular. It's silk-based saris, if we have to call it, define it in a larger context, or maybe for the larger people to understand. It's very, very popular in Assam. It's quite interesting. It's pretty difficult to also make them. She was into embroidery and doing those kind of stuff. She had her own shop as well, and which is where she used to make her own craft. She used to buy the raw material from Delhi, ship it to Guwahati, then make it there. So it was fun, and I also helped her with the trademark name as well. So that's where the IP part helped from my side. And with respect to my own family, now is I would say so. I have my wife. She's also a legal counsel. She works in an organization in Gurgaon. I have a little 3-year-old. He just turned
Hmm.
3 in May and
Oh,
absolutely naughty. And I think I'm learning every day with him as well to learn a big art of being patient in situations. Not very easy, but yeah, I'm a long way to go for me. So yeah, so that's how I will sum up my journey of the family, who I am.
wow. Okay. Uh, yeah, Arindam, why did you select to go to Jindal Global Law School? And how was your memories experience over there?
So it was pretty interesting. I think overall, it was pretty interesting because uh, masters is something I did after a long, long time. So I passed out some time back, and suddenly being an old hog, I thought, let me try and get some additional additional, qualification to the name. So that's the reason why I pursued it. Unfortunately, it was been offered in, IP and tech, which is very interesting. And we were taught very interesting subjects. I think it was great to know about deeply about AI. They taught about a bit of AI as well, how the AI is impacting now the IP part, especially the trademarks and the all sorts of IP and the patents and the copyrights. And also, and I think I got to know a lot about data privacy as well, which is very very interesting subject. So I feel that the course module and everything, which really helped me understand a lot about those emerging topics, as we call it, and that, and also added a bit of qualification to the name, to say that least. And I think just to add here, apart from Jindal, I did my LLB from Hidayatullah National University. It was some time back. Now it feels like a decade back, long time back. So that was something which kind of happened by accident, because I always, had this thing that I don't want to be an engineer or a doctor. So this is something which, after a schooling part, when I was doing my schooling, I never liked maths. So I was like, okay, what do we do next? So this uncle of mine who's also a lawyer, he's a practicing lawyer in Golaghat, in a small town in Assam. And those are the first glimpse of law which I got. And I was very interested to know about this part, explore more. That's the reason why I pursued this profession. But again, I would say that till that time, I had not figured out anything. I was simply not liking maths, and I didn't want to get into this whole science thing. So I wanted to opt for something else. So that's how I ended up being a lawyer. But yeah, I mean, since I've joined law school, so way back, I think it's always intrigued me and always made me very, very interested about it, and especially the IP part, as I said, right? Fascinated by brands, fascinated by trademarks and all that. So that was the beautiful part of it. That's how it all started. So,
Wow. So, Arun, do you have any personal rituals or hobbies that help you reset, recharge?
yeah, I think one of the big things is I'm a football fan, massive football fan. I love watching Premier League, not so much La Liga or others, but yeah, I mean, and I'm also a Arsenal fan, to be very specific on the football front. And sometimes what I do is when it's too stressful for me, two things I do. One of the things I do is listen to some wonderful music, which I have, and I feel music always, clears your thought, calms you down. You can again recenter your thoughts and start working on things. And second is I read a lot of football blogs about the tactics, about this, what happened in this game, that game, watching some highlights. So all those things I feel that makes me feel very, very grateful, to say that, okay, this is okay, the work is there. Of course, it's great, but this is also there, which is my passion. I love reading about it. So yeah, I mean, that really helps me recharge sometimes whenever I'm feeling a bit low or maybe not in a great shape. That really helps. And I think the third thing which helps sometimes is sometimes I love playing a game. Uh, maybe a tennis or maybe a football. Football used to be lovely. Now I think with the age, it's a bit difficult to keep up with the youngsters. But yeah, I mean, I think I would rather play a game than hit the gym. So that's kind of my style. But yeah, I mean, these are some of the things which really help me to stay calm, grounded, maybe sometimes in some difficult situations.
Wow. So, Arindam, you have worked in different parts, cities around the world. Which is the favorite city and why?
I would say Delhi NCR remains the favorite because it all started there. I finished my law, and after that, I joined a law firm in Delhi. And secondly, I think being an IP lawyer, being fascinated by IP disputes and everything, it's all here mostly. Delhi High Court, I think, is a benchmark for that. We have seen massive, great amount of litigations and interesting ones here. So that's also something which always attached me. Second is I also met my wife in Delhi. So then again, it remains one of the favorites. And the third is I think the food. I think it's there's no comparison. I've been to a lot of places across, but I've never found such fascinating and interesting and great food anywhere. And being a foodie, I think I love that. And I think it's a foodie's paradise. That's how I sum it up. People come here from different parts of the world just to taste the food. And we being here, I think, are extremely, extremely lucky on that front.
Wow. Okay. Is there a book or movie which has left a lasting impact on you?
I think maybe can I say one book and one movie? That
Yeah,
works.
yeah.
So I think one book which really I really like reading, which left a lot of very deep impression on me was The Kite Runner. I think I love
Mm,
reading that book. In fact, that was a long time back, and I still remember that you could understand why sometimes book creates so much emotions to you at a very individual level. Obviously, movies also create the same, but then I feel sometimes books are even more personal. So I remember reading this book, and towards the end, I think there were tears down my face, and I usually don't get so much emotional about it. But that was the beauty of that book, the whole story. I think kudos
mm.
to the author, Khalid Hosseini, to writing that fantastic piece. So yeah, I mean that is one, and I think with respect to movie, I would say the Shawshank Redemption. I think that remains top. uh, uh, I think I can watch any number of movies, any number of time, but I think that movie remains top. Maybe one more bonus I can add on the movie front would be Inception by Leonardo DiCaprio. I think that is
Beautiful.
something which there's one movie. It doesn't matter from where I'm watching it. Suppose I'm just going somewhere, someone has started the movie, I'm in the middle of it, I'll watch it from there. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be from the beginning. I can watch it from anywhere. That's how good it was. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
think those three, I would say.
Wow. And up now, I missed watching the stage presentation of Kite Runner. It was up now sometime back in June month.
Yeah.
So at Tata Theatre. So I'm hoping it comes again and
No, you should, you must. It's a beautiful story. And I think if the adaptation is as good
only,
as the book, nothing like it.
yeah, so I'm just waiting. Okay. Okay. So I don't know if someone wants to visit Assam, which places to check and for food, where to go?
I think Guwahati is where I stay, so maybe I can guide on that bit.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a bit
Okay,
easier.
go ahead.
And I think once you reach Guwahati, you have to try, some of the local food there. I think it's always a good idea to try some local food. So rather than in a nice five-star or a hotel, I think you should just jump to the street and try something on the streets. So I would say, there used to be this place. I don't know whether now it is there. There's a place called Paradise. It serves very nice, authentic thali, Assamese thali. So you get a good
Mm,
flavor of the local cuisine, what food we eat. And some of the interesting stuff which you can find there would be maybe your chicken, of course. Then you'll also have a bit of pigeon as well. We eat a lot of pigeon meat there, I think, especially during the winters. And during the winters is the best time because then we'll also get a chance to eat some of the duck meat. If someone is into that, so they love that. And I think for vegetarians also, there are quite a decent number of options. So one of the good options where you can go for trying out some nice, snacks would be JB's. It's been a very old chain. It's across the city, so any of them I think is good. And I think recently, and also one nice pastry shop. I'll say Exotic used to be my favorite at a given point of time, but now I think there's a lot of new ones come up which are fantastic, which are great. And I think there's a place called Kala, that's a very nice, fancy bakery where you can go and try out the latest ones which are there at this point of time. So those are the ones. And yeah, I mean, and also for some nice street food, rolls and all that stuff, you should definitely go and visit the Paltan Bazaar, the big bazaar which is there. And I don't know the shop exactly, but there is this market area where there's a small hawker who sits there, and he sells these fantastic rolls, which are legendary till date. We have been eating it since a long time. And the last thing which I would recommend is trying some fantastic momos there. So there is this Momo Ghar. There was a chain franchise sometime back. I don't know if it's still there. You can definitely give it a shot. That's very popular. It's been an old one, and I think some new ones have also come up now where you can try the momos. But definitely try out the momos. So I think that'll be nice. So I can only talk for Guwahati. For others, I'm sure there'll be better people with much more knowledge because overall the Northeast is a very beautiful place. You go to
yes.
Imphal, you go to Itanagar, you go to any of these cities, you get fantastic food there, local cuisine. So yeah, I mean, for Guwahati, yeah, that's how I'll sum it up.
Wow. So my last two questions are reflective. What are your plans for 2025 personally and professionally?
I think professionally has always been to learn, you know, to do things which I have not done it uh, last year, maybe something new, maybe start a new project. That's something which I have been thinking sometime. And also on a personal front, one of the things which I want to really do is try and read one book a day. Sorry, one book a month. So that's one objective I have. It's a bit difficult, I know, in these times where you have. So the idea actually came from the fact that I want to go a bit less digital and maybe digital detox, you may call it. So yeah, so that's one of the big plans for me. And
Mhm.
I don't know how much will I be able to achieve it, but yeah, I mean that would be the endeavor from my side to try and do that at least.
Wow. So my last one is googly one. Describe Arindam in one line.
I would say passionate of for what I what passionate would be the word. Whatever I
Wow.
do, I try to be passionate in that. So
Good. So let's put you in the hot seat, the rapid fire round. Your go-to comfort food.
biryani.
IP or litigation.
So there is IP litigation also. So what do I do there? So is it I does IP include litigation as well? So it's pretty interesting actually. So yeah, I mean IP if it includes litigation again with a disclaimer.
Okay. Courtroom trail or negotiation table strategy.
Very difficult. I think courtroom trial, I would say. It's very interesting. Fascinating to hear what people have to say, how the judge deals with it, and what your emotions are when you're seeing it.
Wow. One brand you'd love to protect someday.
Um, okay, that's a tough one. But maybe I don't know actually. I think lot of brands are there, which is damn fascinating. It's a very difficult question
Hmm.
to choose
It's
one. I mean,
tough.
like I cannot choose.
Okay, it's fine. Let's go to the next one. You're a morning person or a night owl?
Night owl, definitely. No morning at all. It's very difficult for me. I think you'll not find me in my best self in the morning, but in the night, maybe the best self would come out.
Oh,
Even as I'm aging, I try to be in the same mold. I should ideally not be, but then I'm trying to be in that mold.
wow. Your favorite color?
Black.
Best piece of advice received?
Keep calm and move on.
Your dream travel place?
Uh, okay. This is interesting. This is interesting. Can I take a bit of time? Or I need to be just immediate about it. Uh, maybe the maybe I want to do a nice safari in Zimbabwe. That'll
Wow.
be fascinating.
Your favorite football player?
Again a very difficult question. If I can select from my own arsenal, maybe Thierry Henry.
Wow. Okay. A legal myth you wish people would stop believing about brand protection.
I think the biggest one would be that we are a cost center. I would say that we are a revenue generating center. I think that's something which needs to be kept in mind, especially the kind of work we do and the kind of collaboration we have with the sales and marketing folks.
Yes, very true. So, last one. Tea or coffee to recharge?
Coffee any day. Of course, I love tea, but then I think coffee is something which is very, very deep to me. And I think, in fact, I was so excited. I bought a coffee machine. I bought a different kinds of coffee machine, not only one, like different manual, whatever, automatic,
Hmm.
things like that. That was my
Wow.
passion. So, and
So,
I love serving coffee to people, when they come home, like maybe a cold coffee, maybe a different kind of cappuccino, maybe a latte, whatever.
wow.
That's always been the idea.
Wow. So, let's toast.
Absolutely. Here you go.
And there's a special episode on coffee blends and brews. We did with Drishti Brinda. She is a, what do you say, fan of coffee blends and brews. So after the main coffee, we invited her to talk about because if you talk about
Wow.
coffee, then something has to be extended.
Wow. No, my I can tell you my experience, of this which fascinated me was when I was visiting Bali some time back, and we went to this coffee plantation state. The kind of coffee they showed us, and it was beautiful day. It was raining actually. There was a shed where they had those testers kept on the table, and they gave us like different tastes. So I don't remember last time when I picked up so much coffee from there. Vanilla, you call it hazelnut, whatever was there, I just picked everything up. And then there was this, there was a, no, I think, yeah, so that, I forgot that one. There was a very famous one, which is from the cats, this thing as well. I forgot the name. So that was a delicacy apparently for them. So I saw so many different levels of coffee there. And since then, whenever I've traveled to Southeast Asia, I have tried to just search for it, pick it up, and somehow get it to my place. So vanilla coffee is something I love having if I have an option, but only and only from Bali and all those places. Nowhere else. They do the best.
Wow. So you did well, and here's a book which will be autographed and sent to you. So,
Thank you so
friends,
much.
it was a lovely conversation with Arindam. So visit Guwahati, where he has shared a lot of different places to go and have Assamese cuisine. And all those legal professionals who want to go into brand protection and become an anti-counterfeit practitioner. This episode, because this is a niche area where you're into enforcement and revenue generation, as you said, Kibai, we contribute to the revenue of the company. Yes, very true. So like that, there are 500 plus coffee speakers contributing to our curated menu, inspiring journeys. So subscribe, and if you featured like Arindam, visit our website, the Emerging India Forum or LinkedIn page, or connect with one of our coffee speakers to continue the conversation or a cup of coffee. And if you're in Delhi, connect with Arindam because you will have beautiful coffee brews, blends, and he will serve you. So that is what our coffee speakers extended hospitality. So thank you. Take care. We meet with another coffee speaker tomorrow.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Amir. Bye bye.